Some of the things that you're going to hear today are going to seem extreme compared to what you may have experienced. But the purpose of that is not to shock you or awe you or to really even get your focus on Michael Witt. It's to listen to his experience, and as you listen, be asking, okay, where am I like that? What things like this have happened in my life? And when I see how God has worked in Michael's life, it sheds light on where he wants to work in my life. And so with that, I'm going to ask Michael to come. Michael has been a part of CCF from the very beginning. And he's been in Mena just for a few years. What year did you come to Mena, Michael?
Well, I'm not ready to leave Mena. 2010, November 13th.
November 2010.
Yes.
And prior to that, he had a job for 30 years that's probably different from what anybody else in here has ever done for a living. Tell them what you did for a living and where.
I worked in a casino, and most people think I was the car dealer. I never actually did that. I was what they called a keno dealer, which is like a lottery, and I did that for 30 years.
Okay, and during that time period, you were pulled a long way away from the foundation that God set in the very beginning. And we want to talk about what pulled you away, and then talk about how Christ pulled you back. And a good place to start, naturally, is your childhood. What can you tell us about the home you grew up in, what your family was like?
I grew up in a home that took me to church every Sunday just because that's what we did. My father was a deacon, and we went every Sunday, twice on Sunday, once on Wednesday. Other than that, there was no God in my life. There was no God in our home. And even though my father was a deacon, we never had prayer together, we never read the Bible together, we were never encouraged to read the Bible, and it's like God was a Sunday thing for 1 hour, and then at the end.
So what did that communicate to you as a kid? What did that tell you?
It just told me that people go to church because it's part of what you do. That's all it meant to me. I did know about Jesus, and I love Sunday school. Because to me, Jesus was as real as anything I could see. I don't know how I got that feeling, but I just love to hear about Jesus now. I just always thought he was there.
Yeah. Well, so your parents didn't talk about spiritual things at all, which is unfortunately pretty common. What about other aspects of your family life? Was there love? Was there peace? What kind of home was it?
It was a violent home. My mother was out of control. Her answer to everything was a razor strap. My brothers and sisters all said I was the one that got the worst of it. And her constant beating and forbidding that we could touch, and we could never use the word love. And she kept telling me every time I did something, I was going to hell. And she never knew when to stop. She was okay if she didn't take that first swing. But once she did. And back in those days, people didn't report child abuse, so all the scars you went to school with didn't matter.
Now you mentioned something just in passing that probably needs a little more explanation. Your mother was very uncomfortable with any kind of physical touch or any words such as "I love you." Did you ever hear that?
No. Never heard it from my mother, and I never heard it from my dad.
But there was one person that you did hear something like that from, and that was Jesus. saved. You were baptized and you made a public commitment to Christ when you were, what, eight or so?
Yeah, 8 years old, and I don't think, like most children, you really knew exactly what that entailed, because at that point you're still hearing the Bible stories, Noah's Ark and stuff like that, and Jesus is just a nice guy who's your friend, and that's about all I knew.
But that's pretty significant. Jesus, it was your friend. Did you consider him a close friend?
Pretty much my only friend, because I was very extreme. I am to a point still withdrawn and afraid of people. And Jesus was just the only person that I trusted.
Only person that you trusted?
Yeah.
Well, if a person can only have one, that's the one to have.
Yeah, that's
and
pretty nice.
That one has made all the difference. People often ask me about little kids being baptized. How much do they need to know? Do they need to be a certain age? There's no easy, objective, black and white answer to that. It varies from kid to kid. The most common thing we talk about is they need to understand what they're doing. I definitely agree they need to understand, but no kid understands completely what they're doing when they get saved. No adult understands completely. I'm sure that I know how much more I understand Christ now than I did when I was saved at age 12. And every child needs somebody that can really discuss that with them. But the most important thing, if they get the most important thing, which is, Christ, I commit my life to you. I'm yours. And in your words, he becomes the friend that sticks closer than a brother. That's the main thing. Well, okay, you had a rough home life. Church, what was church like for you as you got a little older?
As I got older, church was a refuge for me. And it became more like a building where I knew I wasn't going to get hit, I wasn't going to get hurt. My parents had to be on their best behavior. And I loved going to church just for the reason of safety.
You hear that? Where am I like that? My parents had to be on their best behavior when we were at church. It was a place of safety. It was a place where you had a refuge. But then, the unthinkable happened, the unimaginable happened. In this place, this one place where you felt safe, something horrible happened.
My Sunday school teacher had ingratiated himself to my mother and father. He was a Roman Catholic who had converted to Protestantism, and they thought that was the greatest thing in the world, and he was invited over to dinner, and he seemed to show up every place we were, and he had access to children, and he raped me and my brother more than once, and I never told anybody for 30 years what had happened. And so church quit being a place of safety for me. Home was not a place of safety. I was sexually brutalized in 2nd grade at school by a girl. So school wasn't safe. And so I just walked around and I still thought I had Jesus. But.
Well, when this happened, the incident with this man at church, was that what it happened repeatedly with you and your brother? What age were y'all?
My brother was 9, and I didn't find out about that until he moved me out here to Mena. That it happened to him too. I was 11, and what even made it worse was after it happened, he continually showed up at our house for Sunday dinners, and I had to sit right across from that man and have him stare me down and just dare me to say anything.
Was it
No, I grew up with the idea kids lie, parents don't. And so if you tell your parents that an adult did something to you back then, you were making it up. And that went for school teachers and anything. You had authority figures, and they were always right, so I knew better. In fact, that's why I didn't know what was happening with my brother. He wouldn't even tell me. I wouldn't even tell him.
Neither of you knew about the other 30 or 40 years, probably.
Yeah, until 2010 when he drove me out here from Reno.
Well, I guess you continued going to church, though, for the rest of the time you were at home.
I did.
Then you graduated from high school, went into the Navy.
Air Force.
Air Force?
Yeah, I gotta make that clear. Air Force.
Okay. Went into the Air Force, and that's when something about your faith seemed to begin suffering, falling apart.
I was around people I'd never been around before. I heard language I'd never heard before. People got to do what they wanted to. You didn't have to be accountable, and so I experimented with everything and started drinking. Back when I was I stayed in the United States, so there wasn't this heavy drug traffic that was going on in Vietnam, even though I was in during that time. So it was mainly alcohol and just do what you want. Just don't go to church. And my language became very foul.
Is that when alcohol became a problem?
No, that's not when it became a problem. That happened later.
Right. That was your introduction?
Yes.
Right. Well, afterwards you went to John Brown University, you got married. Which was first, or how did that all fit together? You got married and went to college.
I got married to a lady who was going to John Brown University, and I married her primarily to get away from my parents, because when I had left the Air Force and was living at home. So I married her as a way to get out of Indiana. And I met her through the Youth for Christ organization, so I thought, well, this is meant to be.
It is sad that we do teach kids, find your boyfriends, your girlfriends at church, and that's great advice. Just because they're involved in church doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good choice. Just give a quick description of how that ended and why.
It ended when my wife began teaching school in Watts, Oklahoma, and I was still a student at John Brown. She ended up having sex with two of her students and the principal. And we were pretty much running out of town, had to leave the church. And we both took jobs at a private church academy in North Carolina, where I caught her inside the church with a young man named Billy Graham, of all names, and he had just left his wife, and I caught my wife doing what she called consoling the brokenhearted. And so we had to leave that church. And we ended up in Michigan. She met a guy, she took my Bible to work with her, she tried convincing me it was a God, that there was a God, because he was an atheist. Well, instead, he convinced her to run off with him, so she ran away with him. But I did get my Bible back. I did get my Bible back. She gave that back to me before she left. So that's how that ended.
When I think about the way problems, issues related to sexuality kept happening, even in the marriage with the wife, I often hear and see that most people seem to have one area of life that is especially troubling to them, one area in which they've been deeply wounded, for example, or they've made some terrible mistake that they've not gotten over. And when there is an area, sexuality or whatever, and we're hurt and we don't get the right kind of healing, it's almost like we tend to attract same. The devil is called a lion. He's called a wolf. Lions and wolves have no mercy. They smell blood and they come after it. They find a wounded animal, and it's almost like the powers of evil find a spot where we're vulnerable, where we're injured, and they attack us in that particular area. Now, they'll take any area. I better keep going. For time's sake, after this marriage ended, but you actually eventually finished college at John Brown.
Yes.
And you got your degree in education.
Yes, secondary education.
And then you naturally began applying for jobs as a teacher.
I applied for a job. John Brown had what they call a job fair, and I applied at 5 different Christian schools who were there recruiting teachers. I was rejected by all 5 of them because I was divorced. And they said I had one professor, Shirley Thomas, who wrote a recommendation on my behalf because she knew both me and my wife. And they said they didn't care what the cause was. Christians cannot be divorced, and I would be a very poor influence on the type of people that I would be teaching. And I said, okay, adios to you, adios to God, and I'll never go to church again. And I left Arkansas, and I went to the West Coast.
So they actually told you that the reason they couldn't hire or wouldn't hire you is that you've been divorced?
Yes, that was specifically told to me.
And didn't care about the reason?
Right.
And that was it. You were done. How did that rejection feel to you? What was going through your mind? What message did that send you when that happened?
It was like one of these, I knew it, this Christianity is nothing but a bunch of phonies running around thinking they're better than I am, and I don't need them. I'd rather go out and have a good time. You know, those kind of thoughts.
So then your attitude toward church, Christianity as a whole began to change, and describe just a little bit of what your attitude became toward the church.
As far as getting better, headed back?
No, as far as after that, you developed a bitterness.
I did, and what I did was make sure everybody, I ran into a lot of people in the casino jobs who used to be presidents of their youth group, and you know, we were former Christians. I was delighted when Tammy and Jim Baker got exposed for what they were. I cut out every article I could get. I took it to work. I made sure everybody at the bar saw it and read it and knew. And what a waste of time it was. And these people were out to get your money, and there was no God. And I declared myself to be an atheist. That lasted 3 hours because I just couldn't get rid of the idea of God, but I still didn't like the things. It was to bring the church down. I was an enemy of the church at that time.
So when you saw Christians fall into sin, was it like almost a gleeful thing?
It was a rush. It was because it just made me feel, see, I told you I was right, and it's very important for me to be right.
Now let's talk about that for a minute, because people will identify with that. What did you mean? It was important that you had to be right?
I had to be right, and if I had any friends, it was worth losing a friendship for me to win an argument. I had to be right, and I would give up a 30-year friendship just to prove that I was right.
About?
Everything, but especially religion. Yeah, I had to unsave the saved. I don't know how I was going to do it, but that was kind of my mission.
How to save the saved. One more thing before we move to the next question. You mentioned that at the casino there were a lot of people working there who had been presidents in their youth groups.
I met a lot of.
What were they doing? What was their? I'm sure there were many stories, but was there a common theme?
It was basically most of those kids were forced to go to church, and like me, what the few I talked to, they didn't see it lived in their home. They went home to parents who were fighting and cussing and throwing things all week long after they'd just come home from church. And they didn't see any positive examples.
So, from where you came, what you experienced, sounded like the example the parents set at home is just tremendous power for good or bad.
Oh, it is good, because children, especially the very small ones, they're going to do what they see their mothers and fathers do. You've probably seen a little boy sometime sit up in a chair next to his dad, and if the dad's legs are crossed, he's going to cross them just like the dad. Well, that's what kids do. And so if you don't see a good example, you're not going to get a good example.
I agree, and also, I think a kid knows whether his parents are real or not. I mean, all of us do and say things in the home that are not godly. That is inevitably going to happen. And so we are going to show them some bad examples. So the question I wrestle with, and maybe you do too, parents, is what about those times that I'm doing my best and I just still blow up and say stuff and do stuff? The answer is be a parent who can stoop down, look the child in the eye and say, Daddy was wrong. There's no excuse for what I just did or what I just said. Forgive me. My goodness, to ask your own child to forgive you takes a lot of humility. And there's nobody who's going to make you do it. But whether or not you're big enough to do it will affect that child's viewpoint of God, religion, church. Because if they discover that the most important role model in their life is a fake, the automatic conclusion they draw is, well, Christianity's a fake. This person I trust is a fake. How can it be true? Michael, did you develop this hostile thing toward the church? Didn't you? What was your lifestyle like? What did it become like in terms of morals? Right, wrong?
I pretty much had the morals of a gutter snipe. And
A what?
a gutter snipe.
A gutter snipe.
Yeah, you never heard of that? Well, anyhow.
Write that down.
What I'm trying to say is I got so bad and uncaring, I didn't care what I did whatever I wanted to. There was no right and wrong. And in fact, it got so bad that when I did come back to Christ, the one thing I had to pray for was to get my conscience back, because I didn't have one.
Really? You just lived, and did you feel you never felt any guilt or things like that? Not until toward the end when the Holy Spirit started ministering to me and trying to pull me back in. Because I knew at the point when I had to turn the music up louder and get more drunk, I was trying to drown out what I was really hearing. But until that happened, no, I didn't care what I did. I didn't see anything wrong. If I wanted to do it, it was okay. But eventually, after 25, 30 years, a little something began to change, and you said that you found yourself turning the music up louder, having to get a little more drunk. Do you think God was involved in that?
Oh, yeah, because I was starting to get very uncomfortable. I started to become more God conscious. And the one verse that kept going through my mind, especially when I was in the bars, was quench not the spirit. And I was trying to drown God out. I was involved in something that I knew was very wrong, and I didn't want it to be wrong. And then One day I went home completely drunk, and when I woke up, I was standing between two highway patrolmen. Now, I didn't drive at this time, so during the blackout spell, I had woke up and walked across Interstate 80, 8 lanes of traffic on a Friday night in Reno, Nevada, and scaled a fence, barbed wire fence, and the cops were waiting for me and said they had spent 45 minutes trying to pull me off the freeway. And I don't remember any of it. And they said I should have been killed 100 times. And when I went home, I had 1 shot of whiskey left. I drank it, and I said, okay, God, if that's you, I know this is your last warning. I'm ready to listen. And I haven't had a drop since that day.
Wow.
And that was the beginning.
That was the beginning of coming back, and I know that there was that key event that was a turning point, and yet it was still a process. What was the process of coming back to Christ?
The process was I was trying to earn my way back. That was the mentality. And I think there's a lot of people that are Christians today are still doing it. I still find myself doing it. And it wasn't until, and I know a lot of people do not like these 2 preachers, but if it hadn't been for them, but it was, I'll be okay. It was Joel Osteen and Joyce Meyer. And I was crippled for about four months. I couldn't walk upright for 4 months and had to crawl around the floor, and my sleeping patterns were not regular. And I ran across this weird-looking guy on TV one night who turned out to be Joel Osteen. But, and I don't remember what he preached on, but he seemed to be having a good time. And he put some fun into it, and it made me curious, and I opened up the book of Proverbs to read one verse, something I want to look up, and I ended up reading the whole book of Proverbs and Ecclesiastes in one night. And then Joyce Meyer was an accidental one too, and I watched her every day for the last 15 years. And that's what brought me back. Now, to go into the church, not right away, but both of these preachers, even for those of you that don't like them, will emphasize that if you're a Christian, you need to be in a local, godly-based church. TV isn't just the way to go. And that's...
But it was TV that reached you.
Yeah, it was the
TV that got you.
Yeah.
When I think about those 2 preachers, for example, and they have so many critics, those are probably the 2 most criticized preachers in America. It just so happens they're also 2 of the most effective preachers in America, changing some of the most lives. It reminds me of how the disciples once came to Jesus and they said, hey, we saw a man casting out demons in your name, but he's not part of our group here. Do you want us to go stop him? And Jesus said, leave him alone. They were doing the work. God can work through people that we would not expect. And God worked through them, and He worked in your life. You came back to Christ. What started changing? What started changing? When we're starting to run out of time here. Tell us what were the key things that changed. Say after you moved to Mena.
Okay. After I prayed all the way out here, except my brother drove me out here, and I decided I wanted to get involved in a church. I made one promise to God that I've always kept, that if I go to a church and I don't like it, or something happens that I can't deal with, I'm just going to walk away. I'm not going to start the rumor mill. I'm not going to join cliques and run down the preacher, because that's all I saw as a child. And if something wasn't right, I would go try something else. And
so you, what period of your life have you done the most growing since you were saved?
Last 2 years.
What are some of the things that show as different in the last couple of years?
Well, when I started coming here, and some of the people I knew from another church, but when I came here, I first sat in the back as far as I could, and I watched people. Well, I watched how they treated each other, if they were consistent, Sad to say, I kind of listened to see if anybody was gossiping about anybody, because I wanted to know if this was truly a church where the people loved one another, or if it was just another social clip where they were going to say, "Did you see what she's wearing?" Or something like that.
Well, I mean, I'm scared to ask this. Have you ever heard that here at all?
Inside here? No.
Wow.
No. Notice I said not inside here. No.
All right, that answers the question. Okay, you and I talked about a bitterness that you used to have toward people in general, and that is one of the things that's changed. Say a little something about that.
Oh, I hated people so much. It was so much fun to hate people. And I had such a negative attitude about everything, and I see John Maddox back there. I think he's one man that can testify that when he first met me and to what I am now, he's probably seen a great change. You have, haven't you, John? Because I remember I had to go to his office one time, and I know everything he said. I was pretty much on the negative side even back then, but when he used to stop me and say, "How are things going?" A lot of times he would say, "They're going pretty good, aren't they?" And that used to irritate me because I like to tell people, no, it's pretty bad. But John gave me the motivation to start changing my way of thinking and answering people. And I got one thing to say, I finally accomplished a goal that I've never ever been able to do in my life.
What's that?
And that was a week ago. I was able to stand in front of a person who is a friend of mine and say, "I love you," and I really meant it, and I didn't die.
Man, it's fun to be negative.
It is.
It's addictive. And it feels good in a sick sort of way. But you've overcome a whole lot of that. Does it ever crop up still?
Yeah, because those are habits. And you get habits, and I'm still plagued by one, and that's my fear of being around people, around crowds. And sometimes I have to do things when I'm afraid, but I do it afraid. Other times I'm not so successful.
So you mean you find yourself afraid to do things or to go into certain social situations?
Yeah.
So do you do it anyway, or?
Most of the time, but I didn't do it last week.
What, you didn't do it last Sunday?
Last Sunday, I did not show up last Sunday because I just couldn't overcome the fear.
You weren't here last Sunday when we had the meal, the anniversary?
No.
What was it that made it hard for you to come? What was the fear?
I was afraid that I would end up sitting alone, and I live alone. I can eat alone anytime I want to, and I was afraid that would happen here.
Was there a reason why you were afraid you'd wind up sitting alone even at CCF?
Because that's what happened to me the last two times that there was a dinner here. But I still love you guys.
Who's your best friend now, Michael?
Oh, it's still Jesus. Man, I talk to him every day out in the woods, me and my dogs. I think my dogs are Christians now, too.
What did you learn real quick from your dogs? There's one thing they taught you that you never experienced before.
I never in my life understood the phrase unconditional love until I got these two dogs, and I was really so mean to them one time because I lost my temper, and I didn't harm them. I mean, I just yelled and screamed. And they came over and they loved me anyway. And that never happened to me before, and I'm not ashamed to tell you, I just was so ashamed of myself, I sit and cry like a baby, that something that had life in it could love me.
Jesus, the author of life, loves you.
Yeah, he does, and I love him.
Does he love even these people?
Does he what?
Does he love even those people?
Oh yeah, I always figured he loved them better than he loved me.
Is Does anybody relate to that? I mean, it's got to be easier for God to love them than me. Truth is, He loves us all unconditionally.
And God's love is not for sale. That is the hardest thing I'm having to deal with because I still want to prove myself. But either God loves me or He doesn't, and I choose to believe that He does.
What you've heard here today is just part of a story that means a lot to me because it's the story of a man who started out with a best friend named Jesus. He was the child that God made. And then sin came and created this other Michael. And this other Michael that sin made is still there. This is the sin nature. You've heard about it all your lives if you've been in church. But God went back and rekindled, restarted what Michael had in the beginning. That's the part that's growing now. That part is in you no matter where you are, what you've done, how low you are, how ashamed you are. The part that God made is still in you. He wants to pull that part up, cleanse it, change it, transform it, as it says in the scripture, with which I close. Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 25. Then I will sprinkle clean water on you, and you will be clean. Your filth will be washed away, and you will no longer worship idols. And I will give you a new heart, and I will put a new spirit in you, and I will take out your stony, stubborn heart and give you a tender, responsive heart. And I'll put my spirit in you so that you will follow my decrees and be careful to obey my regulations.